So, there's a big belief that, our childhood memories actually have a very, very strong impact on how we become as adults. So share with us something which brings a smile to your face, from your childhood, a childhood memory that you hold very dear to your heart, Laura.
Okay. That's such a great question, because sometimes we may not want to delve into our past. We just want to move forward. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I think it's important to know our roots and really understand, why we are the way we are, like
Mm-hmm.
for better or for worse as well. Just to think, what patterns have we been following? What has been instilled in us? And
Mm-hmm.
also just some of the good things as well, because when you think about the most successful people, you read about their biographies, it's truly incredible. Whether, sometimes they've lost a mother or a father, and there's so many examples of that just through their hardships.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually a good thing. So that's what I wanted to talk about in terms of my childhood memories. Is I actually grew up from very humble beginnings, because normal things that when I used to see kids have, for example, whether it was toys or just anything that they wanted, I just didn't have. I didn't have access to. And so
Mm-hmm.
from that, I have so many great memories of just trying to be creative. And so through that, it's truly, truly incredible. I'd see a pen and a paper, because that's what we had in school. And I thought, what can I do? What can I be creative with? And I just used to write. I would just write and write, and I would just write stories. And that just really helped my writing ability. And
Mm-hmm.
another one as well is, I talk about being creative, is there are so many things in the world out there that are priceless, and even
Mm-hmm.
experiences that are priceless. And for me, it was just going to the local library and reading. And so that's what I used to do. And that really helped with my love for reading. Was I learned a lot. It took me to a different place. And that instilled in me today about reading today. Like, I continue to read today. And you probably know, leaders are readers. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that is do, and they say you have to spend at least 30 minutes a day. I mean, Bill Gates, he says at least 50 books a year. And
Mm-hmm.
so books have transformed my life as well. And so through that childhood memory of trying to be creative with what I had, it's really helped instill in me today that hard work ethic. And the thing is, because of that, there is no one, like everyone that has worked with me throughout my whole career, throughout my, through business as well, there's no one that can ever deny my work ethic. And that was instilled from me very, very young, just to know that nothing is free in this world. You have to work hard at it to get to where you want to go.
I think that's beautifully said. And honestly speaking, this is something, in my opinion, I think the younger generation today are getting things too easily at this present moment. So they don't actually understand the significance or the importance of the things that are around them. And, they don't value it as much to a certain extent. And beautifully said, Laura. I mean, especially with, you mentioned along the lines of, like, you didn't have much at that moment when you were growing up. And to a certain extent, it's very similar to all four of us, because we are actually prior to this new generation Z, or whatever they're called. So, I mean, we needed to cherish the little things that were given to us and make the most out of it, right? So beautifully said, Laura. So thank you so much for sharing that. It's a very powerful thing that you just mentioned. And hopefully that's actually going to resonate with a lot of our listeners today. So I really appreciate it, Laura. Matthew, please tell us something from your childhood which actually brings back really happy memories for you.
Well, the story that I've got, it's not a tinge of sadness, and I don't want to set that preface, but it gives me a great sense of pride when I think back on it. And it relates to when I was, I'm going to try and think, I think I was about 10 or 11 at the time. My family, my immediate family and myself, we were all born in Melbourne. And my sister has suffered from chronic asthma from when she was born, to the point where she was in hospital almost every night. It was quite chronic.
Really sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing was the doctors had basically said climate change would have given her the best opportunity for a much better life. And so they suggested Brisbane or Perth to move to because of the distinct different climates.
Right.
My parents had made the decision to come to Brisbane because they had some distant relatives in Brisbane, but it was still very unfamiliar to myself and to my sister. And so we were in this very unfamiliar city, but I remember fondly almost being the proud big brother taking my sister to school on the first day. She was very timid. She was crying, and it was quite an emotional thing. It was, I don't have my friends to rely on. I don't know anyone, but I sort of fondly remember that. I sort of did the whole, I'm the big brother here, and I'll be here to rescue and here to take care of you, and that sort of brings a great amount of joy to me to remember that back at that time I was able to be a leader. I know that's probably a little bit silly, but I think back at that's where my leadership skills and knowledge had come from, is from that very early stage of sort of putting my arm around my baby sister at the time, who was struggling with the change of city, and to take her into a new environment and to hopefully to guide her through, and look, now she's a wonderful person. That's because of me. No, just kidding.
Good on you. Good on you. I think sibling stories actually do make a huge difference. I mean, I can see Joy's face, and your share actually did bring back a few memories. So I'm sure it has brought back a few memories, Joy, hasn't it?
Quite a few. I've got 2 points here. It's lovely stories, both from Laura and Matthew. The stories give me something. It's called emotion. I mean, both Laura's childhood creativity is actually a stored image or a stored memory of being creative, has an emotional attachment, which has led to that work ethic. I mean, I'm literally reading this, decoding this out from a work perspective. With Yusuf, I work in taking marketing inside. People talk about marketing being outside. I talk about marketing being inside first, which is people and how people react. So that's point one. And point two is, yes, leadership from a very early age. At 7 to 9, 7 to 11 is when our values are more or less established by parents or role models. And we sort of step in. And that story resonates. I've got a younger brother somewhere in the backyard of Dubai. Why I say somewhere, he's just changing residence. And he's 9 years younger to me only. Okay, other than my brother here from a different mother. But I've been a de facto dad, so to speak. So all of that resonates a lot. What we experience in childhood actually forms, I'll use Laura's words, it forms an ethic. It also forms our behavior about 2025, when we are entering into the workforce, the career choices we are doing in terms of our tertiary education. So, for example, Matthew, I could be wrong, but one of the reasons you've done a little bit of psychology is perhaps going back to that point where you assisted or led your sister, you protected your sister, and that protection comes from a sort of male parental kind of somebody who needs help. And then that led you into your career choice of helping and being with people, which then made you want to work with people, and voila, transformation. Beautiful. Yeah. Very, very, very touching.
It's interesting that you say that, Joy, that I think because of that transition early in life, not that it's a major transition. I know other people have been through much more significant transition, but just for me personally, knowing how I needed to take on the protective role of what I thought was at the time for my sister, and obviously wanting to understand more about how people respond, how they enact in life, how they interact with other people, and what the behaviours are, and what those triggers are from those particular experiences. It was very, very true to me, and I think you're absolutely spot on. I think that's the curiosity that led me down to psychology, and then subsequently into change management, which is very much in a people space.